Let's talk more about how American jobs are impacted by foreign workers. Let's go to Stephen Dinan of the Washington Times. Stephen.
Senator Rubio, in late 2014, Disney laid off 250 tech workers in Orlando, replacing many of them with foreign workers. Some of the Americans even had to train their own replacements. You support increasing the H-1B visa program that made it possible to bring in these foreign workers. Doesn't this program take jobs away from Americans?
If it's being abused the way Disney did. Understand that program, it is illegal now under that program to use it to replace American workers. Under that program, you have to prove not only that you're not replacing Americans, but that you've tried to hire Americans. And if a company is caught abusing that process, they should never be allowed to use it again. The second problem with the current structure of the program that people perhaps don't understand is a lot of these companies are not directly hiring employees from abroad. They are hiring a consulting company like Tata, for example, out of India. That company then hoards up all of these visas. They hire workers, you hire Disney or some other company hires this company. What they're basically doing is they are insourcing an outsourcing system. They are bringing in workers from abroad that are not direct employees of a Disney or someone else. They're employees of this consulting business. And what I argue is that no consulting business such as that should be allowed to hoard up all of these visas, that the visa should only be available for companies to use directly to hire workers, and that we should be stricter in how we enforce it. It is illegal now. It is a violation of the law now to use that program to replace Americans. And if a company is caught doing that, whether it be Disney or anyone else, they should be barred from using the program in the future.
Senator Rubio, real quick follow-up on this. In the context of illegal immigration, you've called for basically putting off any legalization process until we get the border secured.
Correct.
Why not call for a pause on H-1Bs until those abuses you've talked about are solved?
Well, first, I think I'd be open to it if it takes a pause, but I don't think it takes a pause to enforce the actual law. What they're doing is, if they are in fact using that program to replace an American, if there's an American working at Disney, and they bring someone from another country and using H-1B to replace their direct job, that is in violation of the law. And what I'm explaining to you is what they're doing now is they're eliminating the job, they're outsourcing the entire tech division to a consulting company. They're making the argument that we didn't replace you, we just replaced the whole unit by hiring a company to do it instead. And that company that they're hiring is bringing their workers from abroad. It is a loophole they have figured out that we need to close so they can no longer continue to do it that way.
Governor Kasich, I want to come to you next. Mr. Trump says that legal immigration is producing, quote, lower wages and higher unemployment for U.S. workers. He's calling for a pause on green cards issued to foreign workers. Wouldn't that help workers in the U.S.?
Well, look, I believe in immigration, but it has to be controlled. The simple fact of the matter is I wouldn't be standing here. I'd be, maybe running for president of Croatia if we didn't have immigration. Immigration is something that brings youth and vibrance and energy to our country. But we clearly have to control our borders. We can't have people just walking in. Look, we lock our doors at night in our homes, and the country has to be able to lock its doors as well. So I have a comprehensive plan to deal with this problem of immigration. I would say we have to absolutely finish the wall and guard the border. And if anybody were to come in after that, they're going to have to go back. No excuses, because we can't continue this problem. I think we ought to have a guest worker program where people come in, work, and go home. And I think at the same time, for the 11.5 million who are here, then in my view, if they have not committed a crime since they've been here, they get a path to legalization, not to citizenship. I believe that program can pass the Congress in the first 100 days. But let's not lose sight of the fact that the whole key to the future of America is strong economic growth with common sense regulation, lower taxes, and a balanced budget. We can have a rising tide that lifts all the workers in America, all the people who are citizens of America, if we'll just follow the formula that works that I used in Washington, and guess what? I've used in Ohio to grow over 400 private sector jobs since I've been governor.
Mr. Trump, I do want to come to you. Will you also, in your answer, address how long you think that pause would be and what that pause would look like? How broad
well, first of all, I think, and I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers. And second of all, I think it's very important to say, well, I'm a businessman, and I have to do what I have to do, and it's sitting there waiting for you, but it's very bad. It's very bad for business in terms of, it's very bad for our workers, and it's unfair for our workers, and we should end it. Very importantly, the Disney workers endorsed me, as you probably read, and I got a full endorsement because they're the ones that said, and they had a news conference, and they said he's the only one that's going to be able to fix it. I think for a period of a year to 2 years, we have to look back and we have to see, just to answer the second part of your question, where we are, where we stand, what's going on. We have to sort of take a strong, good, hard look and come up with plans that work. And we're rushing into things, and we're leading with the chin. We're leading with people that don't know what they're doing in terms of our leadership. I would say a minimum of 1 year, maybe 2 years.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. Senator Cruz, I want to bring you in very quickly on this. The United States averages about 1 million new permanent legal immigrants a year and hundreds of thousands more guest workers. Right. What should the right level be?
Well, we need to redefine our legal immigration system so that it meets the needs of the American economy. Right now, we're bringing in far too many low-skilled workers. What that is doing is driving down the wages of hard-working Americans. Our system isn't working, and then on top of that, we've got a system that is allowing in millions of people to be here illegally. And the answer to that, I've laid out a very, very detailed immigration plan on my website. We're going to build a wall, triple the Border Patrol. We're going to end sanctuary cities, and let me tell you how we're going to do that. We're going to cut off federal taxpayer funds to any city that defies federal immigration law. We're going to end welfare benefits for anyone who is here illegally. And the thing to understand, Stephen, we can solve these problems. It's not that we don't know how to do it. It's that we're lacking the political will. Neither of the parties in Washington wants to do this. The Democrats support illegal immigration because they view those illegal immigrants as potential voters, and far too many of the Republicans are doing the bidding of Wall Street and the special interest, and they view it as cheap labor. We need instead leadership that works for the working men and women of this country. We need an immigration system that takes care of the jobs of the working men and women of this country.
Senator Rubio, did you want to weigh in? Well, I would add, when you talk about the millions of green cards that are coming in, those are actually workers at all. They're just coming in primarily based on family connection. And let me tell you, by the time my parents came in 1956, I acknowledge that my parents came to the U.S. on a family-based system. The problem is nothing looks like it did 60 years ago. The 21st century economy simply is not creating enough jobs for people that don't have skills. When my parents came, they had a very limited education. My father stopped going to school when he was 9 years old because his mother died, and he had to work, and he would work the next 70 years of his life and never go back to school. And I'm grateful every day that America welcomed them. But today, in the 21st century, 60 years later, finding jobs when you don't have skills is very difficult. We need to move to a merit-based system of immigration, not just on H-1B, particularly on green cards. The primary criteria for bringing someone from abroad in the 21st century should be, what skills do you have? What business are you going to open? What investment are you going to make? Or what job are you going to be able to do when you arrive in the United States?